And here we are into the game immediately. As I said, Astralis will be starting on the CT side. Glaive and Magisk with utility for the CTs, and NIP will have Get Right as the main grenade man. Everybody else on Kevlar. Forest has been dropped to P250, always good to see. Dennis will start things off well. The numbers of NIP moving around that middle position. Looking for a little more is Dupree, spotting, but they'll have to fall back, having lost one of their team already. Still got Get Right in T-Spawn, making his way over towards B to join the remainder of the four. So I think Get Right might be throwing the lurk smoke for them to burst out of. There is the lurk smoke, which is great to set up over multiple rounds. Oh, here's a HE. This could be massive. Oh, the damage!
Ooh, that is nasty stuff. But can they find the headshots? Doesn't look like that's the case here. Magisk is just having... Oh, okay. That's a little bit awkward, but doesn't matter. Dupree finishes things off, and that is a clean sweep. Pretty much lose Glaive. That's fine. Dupree is going to start things off with a lovely quad kill, and Astralis are off to the races. They're going to start off with a great economy, and that is something that feels quite comfortable on this map. Although, I'm a bit sad, James, because I'm loving it when the T's win the pistol and we see the force buy with the scouts from the CTs, but we won't see that now.
Yeah, so Get Right's picked up a flashbang. Beyond that, nothing really has been spent. Dennis has got himself a P250, but that grenade was colossal. A great answer, Astralis. Maybe the most prepared team in Counter-Strike. Showing that in the pistol at the very least. We see Astralis. They've got a mixture of SMGs and rifles. Perfect flashbang for Glaive. He'll get finished off eventually, but he's got enough damage. And Zipex looking to clean up now. The clutch minister. The doors of the church are open for business. 2-0 for Astralis. But now it's time for NIP to buy.
And buy they will. A couple AKs, few AKs in fact, for them. And when you have a situation like this and you don't have an enormous amount of utility, you have to think, okay, how, what are easy ways for us to get access to a bomb site? Often teams are going to go for that long take. It can be quite favorable off the initial timings, and if the CTs have more utility than you, that could be a great way to score an early kill as well as some early map control. However, NIP are going to decide to take some control of the upper dunk position, and just they're playing a default here, looking to arrive on the catwalk position, the stairs, in about 20-30 seconds, and once they have that control, they might start to think about their options. But it all depends on what Astralis throw at them in the meantime. But Astralis, from what we can see right now, they're keeping things pretty passive. They're not really poking and prodding too much. They are somewhat worried about the timings here. Device goes for some information here. There's a flash, but it's not in time. And Rez gets an instant headshot onto Device.
That's a huge problem for Astralis. They've got no one towards the long position whatsoever. They're having to fight for short. They're much closer to that. That's their best chance, and so far so good. Glaive fights back, and there's a Molotov behind it. Rest has only got 4 HP, so he can't do much, but Dennis will force his way through the fire. So they'll still control that. Astralis may be feeling the hold, might be a little brittle. They'll head towards that long position. So a great immediate response from Astralis. They force their way into short. They get a kill there at the very least. They're expecting trade. They fall back towards long. So they've got what they didn't have before. So there is chance for a retake should one be required.
There's the smoke or the B-split smoke that will be landing in CT spawn. That creates a lot of pressure. And Dupree, he knows exactly what's going on. He's so close to the doors. This is desperation now for NIP. Gets worse. Zipex with a nice angle of the organ. They're just slowing NIP down. They know that NIP have to play against the clock here. And there is the plan for short, but they need short control. And in comes Magisk to try to deny that as he starts to press forwards. Let Crows around the corner. Quick smoke. That is going to give some space here for NIP. Maybe there's a chance here, but NIP, they've got to hold Astralis from long as well.
2 flashes for Magisk, and it's a 1 versus 4 now for Lecro. Moves to his left, looks to his right, expecting the flank, but ultimately it will be 4 players surviving for Astralis. And that's a fantastic result, considering the bomb has been planted. They only lose 1 player, and they keep a clean sheet, so they've got to be super happy with that. That's a great result as you're still looking to secure your economy, especially because with the way the economy is now and the way that if you're just continuously losing, once you get to max loss bonus, you can stack even more of the top level of loss bonus. That, as Elige has been alluding to, among other people on Twitter recently, that can be a problem for the team who are winning. They almost get punished for doing so if you start to struggle and you win some rounds with 2 players alive, 3 players alive. As soon as you lose a round, you've basically got no money, and they've got bags and bags of cash, even if you win another round.
Pop flash from Get Right from top mid to allow NIP to investigate. Dennis, the guy with a single AK, the only Rifle is going to be the one to try to make contact there, but there's no CTs close just yet. You can see Zipex will throw in an HE, but this is not a round in which Astralis are looking to get risky and take aggressive maneuvers early on. They know that NIP don't have much to work with, so they can just sit on the advantage that they have, play passively on the bomb sites, and wait for NIP to come to them.
If Ninjas in Pyjamas were to go B, most of Astralis will be well out of position, as you can see on the radar. Okay, so that will allow them to push at the same time as the flash goes off. No collision with Dupree, though. He's good for 2, good for 3. And there's Magisk is here to clean up the rest of it. Once again, Astralis win the round with only 1 player falling. A fantastic result for them. You can see, though, the money still needs to... they'd be really, really happy if they could get it over 10k. Not there just yet. Ninjas in Pyjamas now, and maximum loss bonus. Beautiful 3k from Dupree. NIP didn't have all the tools in the world, in fairness, but now they certainly do. Forest on AWP, 4 AKs for the remainder of the team.
And this is such a good start, isn't it? But Forrest with that AWP, this is something that he's been doing for years. You won't see him pick up the AWP too much, generally speaking, but on the T side of Dust 2, he has so much experience in doing that. He loves doing it. He always finds good timings. I feel like he's so dangerous in this position. So I can't wait to see how Forrest will play this round with that AWP in hand. And you can see Astralis already somewhat different here, a bit more active towards this middle position. With the rifle support there for Dupree with the AWP. And here comes the long take from NIP, bursting through the doors. Glaive will have some flashbangs to work with, but the timings are very, very fragile there as he's getting pressed and pressed. And finally, Device able to turn his attention to deal with that. Glaive was the bait, and it's 1 player left standing, just Forrest. This is not a good look at all for NIP.
Absolutely beautiful so far for Astralis, but there's plenty of time for Forest. Now, keep an eye on how aggressive the position movement is from Astralis. Every time they see Forest, obviously with 3 players spread out across the map, they could take hyper-aggressive positions and just close down its possibilities. You can see number 4, that's Magisk. He's made his way towards T-spawn because he knows that he can get there before Forest can, so he really cuts down the possibilities. Now, I think... maybe Zipex has an off angle. No, he's looking towards long. Okay, so with that smoke, they should know that Forrest is in the middle position. They've got a sound cues as well. He's walking into a crossfire, trying to create some space for himself. Has to jump past the corner because of the shape of the wall. Zipex will see him first. I think he still got tagged and finished off. So it is 3 players surviving for Astralis. But again, it's a fantastic play for him at long. Glaive, he needs the support flashes. He gets them, and he doesn't get anything out of it. So he has to go as deep as possible to force him into the angle of Device. Beautiful play from Astralis. Shows you the value of drills, having prepared these responses in advance. These are all prepared for situations for Astralis, and it helps them get to a 5-0.
5-0 indeed. You can see the Astralis logo set aflame at the top of your screens. And that's a great HE. Some teams will do research on the timings of defaults of their opponents when their opponents are playing on the T side, and they'll have perfect timing on throwing their HEs to collide with those players as they enter the top mid positions. It's usually the most common one, as you can throw those deep HEs from the double doors pretty safely. And once again, pretty passive setup from Astralis, understanding that NIP don't have too much to work with, and NIP will go for this classic short push, going for the short plant, and that's the prime objective. Get the short plant, and he kills already a bonus. He'll be dropping down to CT. Good headshots coming in from the Deagle. Dupree now in this 1 versus 1, trying to hit some difficult shots, and he is punished. It's a 3 versus 2 suddenly for NIP.
Ow! That was painful. That leaves Magisk alone in a 1 versus 3. Creeping around the 2 players on the side, and he will not last very long at all. So here we go. Finally, a wipeout win for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Their first round on the board. They extinguished the fire of Astralis, and now they need those consecutive rounds. Astralis just about have the money for 1 buy. So there's plenty of opportunity for a catch-up if they can get this consecutive rounds. Dupree trying to avoid the double pick that was coming in. Dennis makes that look so easy.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And there I was like, okay, the objective is just get the bomb down, kills are a bonus. They win the round. Dennis going closer to the double doors, and Dupree is absolutely ready for it. The trade is through, though, which will be very, very beneficial for NIP. This is one of those maps where if you go to a 4 versus 4 like this, the T side can really punish the very long rotations of the CTs. And this is exactly the response. Magisk, he knows how difficult things can get. Oh, sorry, I should say Glaive. He's pushed a deep position on the longhouse there, and that's going to be him set up in a lurking position or a potential flank. Once they get more information as to the movement of NIP, which might be given up here, Forest looking to try to open things up towards the B site, but not quite. Magisk with a better angle sees a bit more of Forest before Forest can find him, and that is a pivotal moment here in this round.
I think 9 times out of 10 Forest lands that. Definitely. Magisk didn't find the headshot. He had a chance. They start to move in now. Perfect flashbang. Magisk completely blind by double stack, but they've seen him. But is the cavalry here in time? It looks like it is. The horses are riding into the side, and everybody's getting trampled on ninjas in pajamas. It might be a question of damage at this point for Rez, with all of 3 HP. Lovely frick from him. 40 seconds. He can still do this. Looking for a flank. Looking for a trade fragger. Little does he know they're both on around the site rather. Now Device has got a cross for the door, so Glaive doesn't need to peek yet. If Rez crosses and Device shoots, then Glaive will peek immediately. So they're trying to guarantee a 2 versus 1. He hears the sound cues, but now things are more complicated. Trying to catch him off guard with Molotovs onto the site near the bomb. Can he really get a bomb plant? Trying to fake it. Here comes Glaive. Oh, he missed a shot. I think he meant to take a shot there. Either way, oh, he's missed again, and that will be the round for Astralis. So no consecutive round for Ninjas in Pajamas, but maybe the damage will have a part to play in the next round because they have got loads of money.
Absolutely, and the CTs, their buys, especially with the double orbs, like 7k a player there for those. So the money really disappears very quickly. You can see that was such an important frag. You can see how close the round was, even though they ended up getting that one Astralis. But indeed, the 6-1 for them as they look to stabilize here. I like that Dennis has the Krieg, great weapon for this map. That scope on the long ranges, very useful. And Forest covers middle. Very fast timing here for NIP. Rushing short. They're up short at 145. That's very, very quick. And that's going to force a responsive utility here for the Astralis side. They don't have to worry as much about the long position. That's smoked off for the time being. And NIP, they could slow things down here completely. Or they could start to try to take long, go for a really fast split. And it looks like that might be the option here. A 4-1 split into the A bomb site. Device flashed off, forced back, but he is back in there. And it doesn't look like NIP can stop him.
More flashes coming through. Device still wondering about the long position. He's giving himself shelter, but there's just too many man. That is 3 players now around the A bomb site. Astralis out of position, and the money situation can't be great for them. And it looks like it will be a save.
Really good work there from Mr. Lekro. He's on 1 HP, but he won his very critically important 1 versus 1 on the long position, which we saw. That's what, as soon as he wins that 1v1, now Device suddenly is just guaranteed to get traded. Had he not made that happen, it would have been very, very difficult indeed for NIP to stop Device, because we can see Device wasn't missing shots, and they didn't have any utility to stop him from that car position. So very important 1v1 there from Lekro. In a much needed moment. But you can see here the save for Astralis. They will keep an AWP and an AUG alive into the following round, and their money is not going to be very good indeed. As we alluded to in the previous round, they've taken many hits to their economy. So this could be a great turning point for NIP to get back into this half.
Yeah, and I think this is an example of what people are talking about. Even at the beginning of the last round, some of the players on NIP from winning 1 round had about 9k, which is pretty crazy. And now, basically, the chance to come back is arguably so much stronger than it was before. But let's see how it plays out. Forest holding a gap. Doesn't land anything on this occasion. There's 4 players making their way towards the B bomb site. Maybe smelling some weakness, and there certainly is some. But a Molotov is always strong until it gets smoked out, and you find yourself alone versus 4 players. But if you've got an AUG, maybe you can do something. 2 players taken out, and there's still a chance here for Astralis. They've got some smoke grenades for the retake. They don't have a molly for underneath the window. They've got a HG that can go behind the big box. So there's certainly still a chance, but Glaive is running to his doom because Forest has out-positioned him. He's unscoped, though, better hit his shot, and of course he will. Now, that gives them all of the tunnel position, so everybody's got to come in from the outside. They know that there's 2 players on the side, they've got to go quickly, but they're delayed by the grenades. Device spots one close, lovely flick from him, and in they go. Lekro behind the big box, looking for the headshot, not happening though. The clutch minister's here, and Forest has been smoked off by those smokes, and sprayed down as well. Solid retake from Astralis, and they get some extra toys.
I can't believe they managed to pull their way. Well, they didn't just retake the bomb site, they actually didn't lose a single player after initially dropping that one around T-spawn, so that is pretty impressive. I think that kill onto Lecro, that was really a shot that he should have been able to hit. He was in a very favorable position, and it's that one frag that really snowballed things. And a good effort from Magister, doing a lot of damage on the entrance, and Device consistent as ever. But this kill here from Zipex onto Lecro, that's what really screwed Forest. Then look behind the smoke.
Zipex is almost unstoppable on B bomb site retakes on Dust 2. I think you and I have learned that with some more of the more absurd retakes that you would think would be unthinkable have been achieved. He's a habitual overachiever, Zipex. Someone needs to make a Steam group, Ministry of Clutch, and make him an admin. He is an absolute beast. 5-round lead for Astralis. Despite the economy, they will overwhelm it. And now they're in a good position. Device and Dupree on the sniper rifles. Again, they've got 3 players around the A-bomb site, including Long. And they've left short open. Going for a jump peek might not be good for your health, Rez. Don't think he'll go back to the well again. Maybe he got whatever info that he was looking for. NIP coming off a giant battle in Sydney versus Fnatic. I was watching some of that last night. Can they pull themselves back into this half?
So they're making a good decision to go for a B split here. I think that's what they're after. Actually, they're still trying to bait out picks. That smoke creates a lot of pressure, and you can see that Astralis are trying to get a look in, but Dupree's going to hit a great shot there onto Dennis towards CT spawn, smoking himself off. That will make things a bit more awkward here for NIP. It burns a lot of the clock because they have to try to find a way to frag him. They will do so. Gero with the spray, spots him lurking on the edge of the smoke. And now it's down to these players on Long as well. Clay with some good damage, but there's the AWP. Beautiful way to handle that player all the way down in Long by the pit. Put Forest on the job with the AWP. And now a 3 versus 3 for Astralis to again show us just quite how good they are for the retakes, but they didn't expect Zipex once again.
Timing is impeccable. And now it's Zipex and Device. Zipex crossing the corner by the smoke, spotting one. The Org's doing so much more damage. Rez is so low, he's got to find a headshot, surely. Just about going to see his skull cap. Looking for something. Oh, that's a huge one from Rez. 5 HP, no fear from him. Absolute concentration. And NIP fight back once more. They've decimated the money of Astralis, and they're around the 5-6K mark for the most part, Ninjas in Pyjamas. So they've got another chance to pull back in this first half.
Pretty epic from Rez. I think he was on 5 HP for in all 3 kills that he got. That's not a bad look, and it's definitely the performance that NIP needed. And that round was interesting because initially at the beginning, the early timings, we saw lots of pressure coming in from Astralis. They were throwing the Molotovs into the double doors. They were trying to defeat any of these really fast rush timings that we could have been seeing from NIP, because NIP have had some success with that. And they go for a 2-3 split, and NIP, they look to try to bait out response. They throw that corner smoke, which we're seeing a lot now, just opposite CT spawn, to try to bait something out, and then they go for the fast A split after making it look like a B play. So NIP playing some great Dust 2 basics right now, James, and they were off to a 0-5 start, and they are right back in this.
2 players in suicide. We've got a smoke from the CTs, but Forest will still spot. Always nice to have that early flashbang, just in case somebody wants to peek. Get short really fast, and Get Right will do exactly that. Then it's set to trade if necessary. But Astralis are normally content with the long position. However, maybe this time they've been outmaneuvered. Not quite taking long, not quite taking short. They've got a hell of a lot of pistols. And there's the garden hose from Lecro. Spray downs, leaving Zipex and Dupree with pistols. This may be a very fast anti-eco round, and I think NIP would be happy with that. Zipex, for the most part, smoked off in CT spawn. You can throw this smoke from the top of mid, as Alex used to do when he was on LDLC. Don't see it too commonly, though, these days, but every so often.
It's really good to see too, because there's a lot of teams that will throw the crossover smokes, and that allows the pistols to get really close. Instead, if you throw this smoke, you just need one to cover the whole entrance, and you keep the pistols at distance. So that's really important. And I also love that NIP understood that they can just rush, get rush timings with the AWP covering down Suicide. And then it just eliminates so many variables. You just kill the time for Astralis to find a way to do something. And this couldn't really have gone much better for them.
dupreeh finds himself an AK. So will it be a hero AK in this round? I think the answer is likely yes. dupreeh's got some Kevlar. Now, Dust 2, one of the harder maps to try and be the hero rifler on the squad for. Let's see what dupreeh is able to do. He's got to be the main focus for this particular round. Forest not seeing much again. Okay, so we've got the boost, lovely stuff, and they're making their way, but they've thwarted it immediately, but it goes straight into the deagle of device. That's another rifle that can be collected on a rotation, potentially, unless they protect it. NIP moving towards the site now. We've got a dink, but no dong. Lekro's still alive for the time being. The burst fire, the pre-fire, will clean out all the potential threats. That leaves Zipex alone, so there was a chance, but Astralis won't be allowed by Ninjas in Pyjamas. Such an important smoke in that short position. Could have been a massacre otherwise, but here we are. 5-7 now. NIP have almost caught up.
Yeah, I'm really liking the protocols from NIP, the discipline. I like the structure to their game, and I think Dust 2 always offers them a great availability for individuals to go off, as there's so much freedom when it comes to how open these positions are on the map and the distances that they're dealing with. And Device back on the AWP. They've dealt with him pretty well so far. He's 7 for 7, and that's a pretty critical part of dealing with Astralis, making sure that Device is not finding any comfortable positions. You can see him operating from the normal spots. We get a 2-1-2 setup here from Astralis, which is somewhat of a mix-up at this timing. A retake of the long position, going aggressive, and get right with a single flashbang, going straight back in. And they're showing res in this position as well.
Astralis notorious for their long holds. dupreeh playing anti-flash. Magisk will be the bait. Probably hold a tight angle, not necessarily fight to the death. But Lekro knows, he knows. Oh my god, this could be brutal. Does he let the first player go? That's the main question. Surely they're not going to check now. Still playing anti-flash. There goes the first one. He knows there's more. He can raise alarm to his team. 1, 2, just about. Beautiful stuff for dupreeh. Marvelous. That's so unfortunate for NIP. It decimates everything for them.
I really like what NIP did here as well, because they showed Get Right, and Get Right's pretty infamous for going, well, he's pretty famous for going for these lurk plays, which is just his own set of grenades. We saw that classic flashbang off the double doors to suggest that he's trying to lurk that position. Then they show Red spraying through the doors, and given the previous rounds, Astralis are likely thinking at that point, oh, it's going to be an A play. They're going to go for an A split, but instead they were ready to burst B, but still doesn't work out. Astralis is just so deadly. Great flashbang. Can he get away in time? Through the smoke, dupreeh just barely escapes.
That smoke was a saving grace for him. No one charging through the long doors, but does that pull a rotation from A into mid just in case? You can see Angle still being held. Tag, but Rez will still be alive for the time being. Spreading, very close. Good thing that Rez stopped where he did, otherwise he would have been a goner. Glaives in a very... Oh, that's a beautiful tap from him. The grenade could be even more. Rez, how's he still alive? No, so close to him. 3 players on the site now. Zipex creeping up slowly. Maybe heard a step from Rez. Being very careful, though. It is a precarious situation, mostly for the CTs, I'd say, on the lower ground. Oh, my God. That is a watermelon which got absolutely exploded. Lekro, what does he do now? 1 versus 4. There's a sound cue from Magisk. And once again, 4 players survive for Astralis as they move into the last round of the first half.
Yeah, it's a great retake from Astralis, and NIP looks very strong moving into that bomb site. I love the over-the-shoulder spot, the over-the-shoulder headshot that was coming in from Lekro over the shoulder of Rez. That was looking really clean. Here it is. Oh, it's actually Dennis that gets it. Beautiful stuff, and Glaive with a very important first tap there. That really hurt the ability for them to get long control. You can see Forest tries to go for the long control as well. So even though it ended up being 4 players surviving for Astralis, it was those 2 kills from Glaive with those 2 1v1s that he won that prevented NIP from taking any control towards long, and it stopped NIP from taking any presence on the bomb site, which then enabled Astralis to clean up. That was all Glaive.
Beautiful. I'd still go to this hotel, to be honest. Despite all the action on Dust 2. Last round of the first half. 3 players, looks like they'll be on pistols. Surely there's more on the floor. For an NIP? No, they've gone for utility over weaponry. So it's Forrest with the AK-47, Dennis with the Galil, the remainder with pistols. Lecro on a Deagle, worth noting. Rez as well, actually. I think on a team with Lecro, he'll take the shine when it comes to Desert Eagle play, but Rez is certainly quite capable to find these headshots as well. Nothing but rifles on Astralis, 4 scopes and glaive with the AK-47, so small percentage for Ninjas in Pyjamas to take a W in this particular round. Flashes for a repeat from Dupree, looking over big box, Xbox, whatever you like to call it. They'll have to eventually fall off for fear of a burst through the double doors.
And Lecro finds himself a headshot. Is Magic's gone. Glaive goes aggressive on long, perhaps to try to take action, but it's compounding the problem, although Zipex is the solution to pretty much every single problem. Deagle back out for Rez as he tries to scan for another headshot, and I think all the stepping will be heard. Zipex, nicely done though. Zipex is gone. Device now in his low position with the AWP. He could be the X factor here. Bring Astralis back into the round. The grenade will obscure vision, and Lecro will close his eyes permanently with a Deagle. Dupree comes in with the AWP now.
Still a chance for Dupree. The bomb gets planted. Oh, that was so close. Do you want to peek him? I don't think you do. He's got a defuse kit, Dupree. Looks like he's looking for a rifle and the low ground. 25 bullets, no need for a reload. Rez by the car. Does he peek? I think he does. Oh, he can be shot through the windows as well. Falling back towards the long position to get right. We'll clean it up. So it will be a surprising 6th round for Ninjas in Pyjamas, all things considered. They came into that with almost nothing, but took away in a very important round.
Yeah, great stuff. Really great stuff. I think, so much heart from NIP there, so much grit. Even though they had such an awful start, James, this was a beautiful, beautiful game of Dust 2 from them. We saw some great basics, some great reads, great shots. This Dust 2 really had it all from their T side. I think they'll be very happy with that, considering how hard the start was. Yeah,
that was a really awesome half. A great explosive way to kick off the tournament, the main part of the tournament.
Counter-terrorist. Counter-terrorists win.
That was a nasty shot. Okay, yeah, my voice is back. I can hear myself again. All right. So
They try to silence you, James. They try to silence you.
They try to shut me down, man. You can't shut me down. I'm too big. I'm too big. Speaking of being too big, actually, most of the time when we're commentating, I'm standing up and I'm by the program screen. Especially as a ginormous person, when you're in a seat like this, it kind of squashes your diaphragm. So when we're off camera, I tend to stand up because it allows you to project more. So just some commentator nerddom for you guys at home, but that was a very nice stuff. We saw some great one taps as well from both teams. Some deagles, there was a lot in that half, and the score is pretty close despite how strong Astralis looks on those retakes towards B and other things. So for me, I think it's a wide open game of Dust 2.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the only difficult thing is to try to follow up on that great start that Astralis had on their CT side, winning the pistol, the first clean 5 rounds that we saw. That's going to be a hard act for NIP to also follow up themselves. But I'm really curious. I think that they absolutely can do it. They're looking pretty hot off the start of this tournament against the likes of Astralis. Astralis also, James. We have seen a chink in their armor recently, just due to the fact that in Miami, of course, they lost, and they lost in a fashion in which I don't think people suspected, against teams in which I don't think people expected to be as competitive as it was against them. So they have a lot to kind of prove in this event. They got to reestablish themselves in the top position. So dropping any maps, I think, is out of the question. And NIP look really dangerous here. So I'm really excited to see what NIP's CT side looks like, because this is the great thing about Counter-Strike. It's like a different world. When you switch onto a different half, it's a different world entirely. So we'll have to see how stylistically this one's going to work for the two teams.
I feel like that the game between NIP and Fnatic, the best of 3, I feel like it was rejuvenating. It was like a Lazarus pit, It just came out there like a brand new team. So I really think that re-energized both two squads, and I'm looking forward to seeing what NIP can do in the remainder of this Dust 2. And throughout the weekend, of course, here in Madrid, the crowd have been absolutely crazy. When the main qualifier was going on between, I don't know how you say it, Movistar riders and Giants, the crowd were going absolutely bananas. And in the events I've gone to, I've never seen like the first match of the whole thing, technically speaking.
Did we have
people just going absolutely crazy?
We had like 100 of the Portuguese fans traveling over together.
Yeah,
to support as they were really like the camaraderie there was amazing to witness.
That's brilliant. That's fantastic. I can't wait to see more of that today and tomorrow. But here we are, Astralis and Ninjas in Pyjamas. I do believe the second half will be starting soon. They've swapped sides already, so we'll have to see how things play out. I mean, are you favouring? It's hard not to favour Astralis, right? But I still have to ask you, because sometimes it can be a momentum thing. But I feel like they have looked stronger, at least on their C2 side.
I think one of the cool things about Astralis is they have this great consistency when it comes to what you can expect from the individuals, as well as how the individuals have a little bit of freedom within that structure to make those decisions and to take risks. But it seems like everyone in Astralis is just incredible at assessing these risks, and everybody on the team sort of thinks exactly the same way about the game. I think sometimes with NIP, you might see that one person might go off the page a bit, and it might take a risk that's maybe a bit too great at a wrong moment, and there's that, they don't have quite as much consistency. I mean, no one has as much consistency as Astralis, obviously. So I think that's the interesting thing for me is this CT side. If NIP don't get a good start, I think it's going to be really difficult to reclaim momentum, because we know on this map in particular, Dust 2, on the T side, if you gain momentum, you can really get into the heads of your opponents, and NIP, they're going to have to deal with so much if that's the case. So here we go. We're into it. The second half between Astralis and NIP. 9-6 is the score at the moment. But who will pick up the pistol, James?
We've got 3 utility men for Astralis, Dupree, Glaive and Device, all with plenty of toys. We've got 3 smoke grenades. They're all down the long position, so I imagine there'll be 2 for the cross. But how do they deal with the range advantage that the CTs have? That's going to be a big issue to deal with. Quickly spotting one. The numbers will force Lecro away rather than the individual Glocks. Dupree does have a... Oh, there's 2 P250s actually. Dupree and Device, both with P250s. Definitely important to note. Now, they haven't quite executed just yet. 2 players have been spotted. The bomb hasn't been seen on the radar. Some jump peeking, maybe to see if anybody was on the side.
On the car, I think, crouching behind the car.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome, actually.
Yeah, so there are the initial grenades deployed, and they slowly creep up.
Yeah, this is awesome. Getting as close as possible to the bomb site. NIP are starting to feel that, though, and now it starts to be pretty favourable, I think, for Astralis to get this bomb down. They have a smoke as well on Glaive, as we can see. All the rest of the utilities being exhausted, and they're taking this very slowly. I don't think they saw Lecro. I think there was a check from Magis, but I don't think that he saw Lecro. I think he pulled back a bit too far because he's afraid of getting shot by short, but now Lecro has announced his position, and he can create pressure from this spot. And how much will he go? He's going to go straight in there. Lecro, absolute madness there. Everyone trying to push in together and force their way into the bomb site, but it's not looking all too easy, although that said, it is looking pretty easy for Astralis. They got 4 versus 1 now. Rez has it all to do. 3 more players to find, and he can't do it. It is Astralis with the second half pistol round.
Magisk making sure Rez was extra dead. Definitely dead. Double dead. Confirmed dead. And that's Astralis on double figures. Solid pistol round from them. And out comes the weaponry. Now, what will Ninjas in Pyjamas choose to do? I believe they've lost both pistols, no?
Yes, they have.
They haven't gone for the force buy on either one. Sometimes people go for the force buy in this new economy and have a full buy in the round to come. But maybe they can't afford that, even if that's what they had in mind with 4 rounds lost already. Or 4 rounds behind, rather. Some taps, some bursts, some sprays from Magisk. Not quite a connection, though, but there's not much of a threat here from Ninjas in Pyjamas with 5 USPs and no Kevlar.
Yes, it's a good point to talk about the economy. There's a couple factors, I think, that are really important. One, most people will go for the force buy in the second round on the CT side because you want AWPs as quickly as you can, and it's very hard to get AWPs out in the third round in a meaningful way, so teams will force buy in the second. However, Astralis are a team that understand how to prepare against that very well, so you may feel like it's a low percentage play against Astralis, so maybe you just get the rifles out anyway as quickly as possible. So that could be part of it, and you can see the cleanup coming in here from Astralis. I would imagine that they would expect to see double scouts, force buys here from NIP, but it's not the case. Nice headshot from Forrest, finds a kill. Given that there's no investment, that's not bad. Plays pretty weak, and he'll finish it off. 11-6 as MIP now. Onto the 4-buy. Rez can buy an AWP, as can Forest, but they'll be left with nothing else if they choose to do so.
Anti-eco frags. Nice and juicy. Don't weigh on your conscience. Money builders. 11-6. 5-round lead for Astralis as NIP come in for their first buy of the second half. And now it's Astralis' turn to charge up that short position. It will not be contested by Ninjas in Pyjamas. They've gone for the long take. They'll leave Get Right, just spotting it with a UMP. Now, look how much utility NIP have at this point. They've got no flashbangs, they've got 2 smoke grenades and 1 Molotov. So this is the buy that they've chosen to have. Maybe feeling that they can't give up too many more rounds to Astralis. Wow. They've basically got practically nothing for a retake outside of that Molotov and a smoke. So wherever Astralis choose to go, Ninjas in Pyjamas are in a really bad position unless those orgs go nuclear.
And devices upgraded. That was really cool the way that Astralis had a setup there to, if anyone's standing anywhere close, they're forced out and there's someone already there ready to spray them down. So what a beautiful way to abuse the fact that Astralis, again, one of the best, if not the best tactical team in the game, use those tactics to get advantages. 5 versus 4, such a strong position to be in on the T side of Dust too. And they have so many options here. Quick flashbang there close to the double doors to deter any quick peeks as Weiss does make his way up catwalk and drop into CT spawn. This is so much pressure. Rez has so much to do, as does Get Right.
There goes the molly. And there goes the cry for help with the UMP, taken up by Dupree. Rez tries to do what he can, but what can you really do? They don't even have a safe way or a way to make an information play safe because they don't have any flashbangs. No grenades, 2 versus 4, 2 orgs versus the might of Astralis. A long-range headshot from Zipex leaves Lecro alone. No one to write to, no pen pals, no one answering the phone, no one answering the door. Just walking around outside.
The flash comes in to absolutely kill any chance of Lecro making any damage there. And this is the problem. We talked about this previously. If you go for a full save on the CT side, then a buy, your utility is awful. You don't really have the money to get an AWP out. And if you do get AWPs out, you have to have utility and rifles to play off the AWPs to keep them safe. And so LMP, they go for a more desperate play which relies on them hitting shots, but the problem is Astralis' tactical strength is so impressive that they gain so many advantages through it, and how can you fight against it?
If you just look at that round on paper in terms of weapons and utility, you have to ask, how do you win that round versus Astralis? That is them showing you why they are the final boss of Counter-Strike. That was absolutely beautiful. And I feel like, assuming Astralis win this, 13-6 is where this half starts. When Ninjas in Pyjamas have a full buy, as opposed to the big guns and basically no grenades. Because Astralis are a team where it's very, very difficult to impose your will on them. And if you don't have the tools to do that, then what are you doing? You are at the mercy of them. And there is no mercy.
And that was great to see there. You saw Dupree get some free position in front of the doors. Lecro is trying to hold the angle. Flashbang comes in. Now he's lost the angle. He's lost one more spot that he has, one more opportunity that he has to get a headshot. And this is how Astralis are using their utility to make everything as safe as possible. And Dupree's just constantly checking. They don't know if anyone's there. It's a really safe spot. He's just checking. Eventually, okay, no flashbang might come out, or he'll just go for a random peek and he can get a kill potentially. Smoke for the corner, I think. Was that deployed?
If a flash did come out, it would have like a 30% chance of hitting him, because he's not holding the angle 100% of the time. And if he's hiding at the right point, then he'll give the opponent a false sense of security. Because a lot of people at home will just stand and hold an angle, be it CT or T. But there's a lot of education to be done on why you make a play like that instead of just standing there 100% of the time. This is an anti-eco round. There is a smoke for Lecro, but I don't think it's going to have much of a part to play in this particular round, as a very meticulous execute comes in from Astralis into an empty A bomb site. Get Right looking for that P50 spray for herself, but it might just do. Then again, maybe not. Zebex will fall back to a safer position. Little does he know that Dennis is coming in from the back. look how careful they are. 10 seconds left. And they're just making sure there is absolutely no naughty play to be had. Astralis give you no edges. They give you no margins. They give you nothing.
It's just so amazing to behold just how structured and disciplined the round is. The entire round. Like, again, it's just everything comes off of utility. Everything is a play that's built around utility and finding opportunities. You know, just going back to Dupree getting out of the double doors with a flashbang and his sort of random peaks as James was highlighting and how that functions, and then how they find an advantage with some set smokes around the catwalk position that eventually baits out a kill. Everything's designed to bait out a kill. It's all pressure. It's also designed to get their map control inch by inch, and also designed to force the opponents to make a mistake. And it's looking so clean. It's beautiful Counter-Strike, as always from Astralis.
Even if they get wiped out, Astralis have a full buy in the hole at this point. And again, this is where the second half starts now. 13-6, with Astralis just 3 rounds away from victory here on Dust 2. Ninjas in Pyjamas have most of the utility they might want. Forest on the AWP on the CT side. There is a good start from him. Lekro will be sacrificed though. But the gods are still not happy. Astralis with possession of that long area. They'll hear the AWP further back. It may delay them going further. We see Get Right in a precarious position. He's alone on the short area. Forrest with the off angle looking for players coming out of lower tunnel, but everybody's towards the right side of the map already. So again, it's a very brittle setup for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They don't have any high ground really towards the A-bomb site. They don't even have anyone to boost Forest up. They don't know if it's safe. It's been a while since long was taken. So we've got very, very big issues here for Ninjas in Pyjamas. And
it's such an annoying position for NIP because Get Right could be flash top mid to get info. But it's so risky to do that. If you're wrong, the round is over. So he hasn't, he's just holding his position. Now finally he's just trying to take a deeper peek towards top mid. There's still no sign at all of Astralis. They have no idea where they're coming. And now they're going to announce their presence with the smoke grenades, covering the crossover perfectly with those smokes. And now the A-bomb side is under assault. Get Right forces his way forward beyond the utility, but he is going to be funneled into Glaive and that org. And now the bomb stats a 3 versus 4 retake. There's no close plant utility remaining for Astralis, but that might not matter because they have the numbers and they have the position. And you can see NIP do not have the economy, so they're going to have to fall back anyway.
That was beautiful by Astralis once again. Ninjas in Pyjamas just in poor positions for what was coming, which of course they didn't know. But you can see Get Right tried to make a difference, but he had to do that in isolation. No one could help him do it. So if you try to do something against Astralis, it's generally to their advantage. They'll fail both the run boost, but it doesn't matter anyway because NIP are prioritizing their own economy. It would be madness for them to try and pick off players. And once again, Astralis are on fire, and I do not see this fire getting put out anytime soon.
Yeah, it's looking really amazing. Again, it's like I said with the 2 different worlds for the Counter-Strike. On the CT side, it's so difficult to play against Astralis because you see a different side of Astralis. I mean, in the sense that they're able to force action with their utility. They're able to have much more freedom as to how they set up around, as to how they mess with your rotations to weaken your defenses. And we're going to see a fast long take coming in, as it is characteristic of Dust 2. Haven't seen it too much here in this matchup so far. Smoke on the corner, the flash is over, long is taken. Now they can slow it down like they did before, or they can continue to press. They can go back towards catwalk. There's all sorts of things that they can do now to just deposition NIP and make things uncomfortable. And they are walking back out, leaving a single lurker towards that pit position, and that's Device with the AWP, so you don't want to peek that.
Ninjas in Pyjamas moving into an aggressive position in that short area. So trying to patch up the issues they had on A with 4 players. Now they've currently got 5, and it does look like a bolstered defense. So Get Right just fired some bullets there. I don't know what the purpose of that was. I'm sure there was one, I just can't figure it out right now. We've got Astralis now creeping around the middle position. Should hear Forrest jumping off construction, and he will fall back. I think Get Right may have just seen a... Oh no, he didn't! He didn't see him! Where's he gone? What? He's out! What? What's going on? He just jumped past Dupree, didn't notice! How much? 10 FPS? Dupree alone now, 1 versus 3, and the bomb has been lost. That is one of the most bizarre things I have ever seen. But here we are. 23 seconds. Does he go for as much damage as possible? Maybe the Molotov covers his tracks. Maybe not. Thought he might be going for that play, but it seems he'll just try to hold on to what he has. Not give the CTs anything extra. That was crazy.
It was a weird round as well overall for Astralis, because initially when you take long, you're definitely forcing CTs to be on catwalk, and then so when they take the long, they smoked Xbox, and that does suggest that you're going to go for an A split, because the Xbox smoke covers you as you run up catwalk towards short, and so Get Right was like it's waiting for the push on catwalk, but it never came, and then Astralis slowed things down so much, and it felt like Astralis were just a little bit lost there as to how to develop that B split afterwards, and they didn't retake catwalk. I think that was the problem for them there. But it's still 14-7, so Wise tries his luck on long, and he will get nothing. And they'll slowly move into a default now.
NIP with half the score of their opponent, slowly climbing out of the gutter round by round. Big flashbang for us makes his way over. Surely he was spotted by Device. So with that Device, does he read that there are 3 towards B and 2 towards A? Is that the information that sends them towards the A bomb site? Ooh, through the door, didn't even see him. Just knows his angles, leaves Device on 8 HP. Now he's vulnerable to grenades. Rez has a HE, but he's over towards the B bomb site, so just the mollies which are the threat at the moment, and of course the cold steel, which turns hot pretty quickly in the hands of Lecro. Dupree taken out, no trade. The remainder of Astralis are behind the smoke, slowly creeping through. This may be awkward for them. Another smoke, more org action. Magisk very late to go through the smoke, trying to do what he can, but they're just running into the meat grinder now. Leaving Zipex and an 8 HP Device. Still manages to get past the angle though, but no kills. 5 versus 2 in favor of the Swedes.
Very difficult spot here now. Great stuff on the defense from NIP, good defensive setups. Zipex looking for damage! Oh, almost finds himself a second, but that'll be that. And Astralis, they definitely know their angles. I was going to say that. It's really cool that they understand that when you come out, when you're going for a default, oftentimes you will have an AWP on the CT side holding the gap, which covers, it's like a pixel gap that covers the cross from lower dark towards Xbox. And usually an Opera will stand there holding that peak, and they just had a perfect spray for it, which forced Forrest back. I thought that was very cool, but it's one IP after that. Now perhaps some momentum for the Swedes. And this will make his way through long, and do the CTs want any part of this? NIP no, they're going to retract their positions, falling back out of long, giving it up to Astralis once again.
That would have been very costly, I think, for Ninjas in Pyjamas. The way that play was executed by Astralis reminded me of a pistol round from FaZe where Olafmeister was bunny hopping backwards into the B bomb site on the pistol with facing the floor to try and avoid getting headshots, take their angles away. Now, I think with solid executes into long, Astralis, ironically, are the people who are best equipped to take the players out with Molotovs and so on. But they're on the T side. We won't see that from NIP on this occasion. But they wait. And it's Astralis who've got to use a lot of utility to clear out that car position, to smoke off the cross. Now, we're not seeing any tunnel push or anything like that. No seeking of information, really, from Ninjas in Pyjamas. They are expectant and they wait with eyes towards long A.
And it's almost a retake setup that they have here. Lecro, the only man on the bomb sites directly. They've got Geralt on short. He's still looking for any catwalk players. Here goes Astralis. Nice shot from Lecro over the top of the smoke. Geralt will drop down and find one himself, but he's pretty weak. Still a chance here for Astralis. 30 seconds to get the bomb planted. As Dennis peers over into the site there from the short position. A head will be shown, and that will be all Dennis will see. As now it starts to look a little bit devastating here for the NIP side. Get Right by Elevator. They're both critically wounded, 5 and 15 HP respectively. Glaive picks off Get Right. The bomb has to go down. Rez in the clutch against 2 here as he's coming in from CT. I'm not sure if they know that he's there or not, but they certainly have the setup to cover it.
And that's going to be that. 5 HP, 1 versus 2. Waiting for somebody to move towards Gandalf or short. Never happens. And it's match point for Astralis, and plenty of them. There's still money for Ninjas in Pyjamas. It's a great first frag, but from Lekro. But I think he was taken out from platform, which is where he was looking for someone for the longest time. But it's like when a player's in Palace and Mirage, they're not peeking too deep, so not getting picked off too early. Match point for Astralis. We see Forrest on a CZ, Dennis with AWP, maybe because of his position or playing a spawn, either way. It's Forrest who has nothing. Everybody else has something. Again, they've got some utility, and it will be a brute force into the B bomb site from Astralis.
Rez looking to defend from the box. He's got Dennis for support, but Rez is now found without a head, and Dennis will be slaughtered on the bomb side as well. No resistance, and Astralis might make it happen right here on this B bomb site because NIP have a horrendous retake on their hands.
They've got a molly, which can go under the window. There's a flank though. There's a flank on a flank. If you look at Magisk, he's outside the tunnel entrance. Forrest will look for it. He can entertain him. Now they know there's 3 on the site, but they're 2 versus 3. The molly's being deployed. Now it's just get right, and now there's no one left.